they tried to launch a CBDC in Nigeria at the beginning of 2022. Okay, and it was a very serious project, and they very carefully selected Nigeria as a test market, and it was Biden administration who made that decision. And then they sent all these experts from the IMF, from some Western consultancies. I'm not sure which ones, but it wasn't McKinsey, it wasn't Boston Consulting Group, it was something else. But where they tried to bring together the best and the brightest. And then, they assisted Nigeria's central bank to implement these. And they chose Nigeria because it was a relatively simple case. Many people had very ordinary bank accounts or didn't have any bank accounts whatsoever. There wasn't all this complexity of legal implications for your pensions and your real estate properties. And because there's a lot of legal work that needs to be done in order to make the CBDCs possible. There's a lot of procedural things that need to be redesigned. Anyway, I sat once through a presentation by an Accenture guy. Accenture is no longer called Accenture, but it's something else. Anyway, that company. And they were giving a presentation about CBDCs. They're totally involved in it, this company, formerly known as Accenture. And one thing I can tell you is they're light years away from confident. So they're talking about all these things that need to be fixed, but it's obviously that they don't know how to fix them. Okay, back to Nigeria. So first, Nigeria had a referendum about the CBDC, and it was rejected by something like 99% of people. People didn't want it. And then, we don't take a no for an answer. They voted wrong, so the president overruled them and signed a decree that Nigeria is going to have a CBDC anyway. And they gave the Nigerian people a deadline to turn in all their currencies, the naira, and to convert it into the e-naira, the CBDC thing. People were very confused. They didn't exactly know what happened, so they extended the deadline like another 10 days. And then they went for it. And the thing was managed by the governor of the central bank. The whole thing lasted 108 days in Nigeria. Not a premium democracy, forced down the people's throats, and people flipped out, okay? And there was complete chaos in the country. And after 108 days, the project came to a grinding halt. The president got voted out of office. The central bank governor who was in charge of the project ended up in prison. And I don't know if he's still in prison, but when I looked into it last June, he was still in prison. So it wasn't just like they took him to prison to write an article in the newspaper and then let him go back to live in his villa. No, he stayed in prison. And so the test market that brought together the best of the Western know-how that Bank of International Settlements and IMF could put together, and they took a simple test market as a case to demonstrate success. It was extremely important for them for this to be success, so they can go to other countries and say, like, see how awesome everything is in Nigeria now? Don't you want to do it yourself? Well, now that the president was voted out of office and the central bank governor ended up in prison, who wants to try it now? Maybe you'll get it in Ukraine because it doesn't matter. They'll do anything to get bailout money to continue fighting the war and all this. Zelensky will do anything. It doesn't matter. But find me another country where the central bank governor wants to risk going to prison, and where the political leadership wants to risk being voted out of office. Nobody's willing, and nobody's confident about it. And so they they are developing the technologies, but technology is a fragile thing. You can put however much money you want to put into it. It's not a guarantee that the product will come out good. The technology development doesn't necessarily respond to how much money you put into it. So it can be the most powerful people in the world, the BIS, the Rothschilds, the HSBC, the Federal Reserve, whoever. They can put trillions of dollars into it. But whether they're going to achieve success with it or not is unpredictable. You cannot predict it. And the problem matter is so complex that I would be willing to bet money that whatever they roll out is going to fail on a short order. And it may not fail in the sense that they go back to cash, but people will. Okay, because if you force people to use as means of exchange something that doesn't work, that's inconvenient, that people feel creeped out because everything about them is on some card, on some server, people will just go to black markets.